Have you ever wondered how you would go about making money with a desktop CNC? I mean, getting a CNC and making things for fun is cool, but that newness is going to wear off just like any other hobby does. But what if you could actually make money with a desktop CNC from home? About 4 years ago is when I started picking up woodworking as a hobby. I was jumping into it. I still had a full-time job at the time, and it was kind of my escape from my day job not going well. So I would come home and I would build stuff. Well, as I was progressing, I did that for a few months. I needed tools. I needed more tools. Well, I wanted the hobby to pay for itself. So I made like 3 cutting boards. I actually sold them to a guy about an hour away from me. I sold 3 of them. So after the sale of those cutting boards, I was super excited. I was hooked on, okay, I can make money with this. What else can I do? And so I made a couple more items over the next few months and sold them. And while this was going on, I was investigating how I could take this to the next level. Well, I came across some YouTubers that were using CNCs just to create projects. And one thing led to the next. I was like, there's people that make money with these things. And so I did a bunch of research and I ended up buying my first Shapeoko in 2018. Started making things with it. I had no prior experience. Started making things with it to sell. I built up to my first craft show, which was at a wine market. So that went on for about a year. I tried different sales routes and had some not so successful and some successful. That's the Cliff Notes version of my personal story. The reason I share all this is because when you start, it is super important to think about what you want it to be or what it can be in your situation. If you have a full-time job already, that's probably going to limit you on what you can do with the CNC business from home. But that doesn't mean that your goals can't be like mine. My goal was to leave my day job, and I worked towards that. So it's the first step to this whole thing is thinking about what you want it to be. In my mind, there's 3 different things it can be, and it can become all 3 at any time. The first one is just a side hustle. The second is full-time. And then the third one is, hey, I just want to sell a few things to pay off my machine. I want to justify buying a machine so I can pay it off. So whatever price that is, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, whatever it is. I just want to make that much money so I can justify the purchase. And all of those are okay. But at the beginning, before you jump off into, I want to make this and do that, think about, it'll save you so much time and you'll be so much more effective. Think about what you want it to be and start there. The next thing you need to do is start creating projects that you personally are interested in. Well, duh, Andy, who makes things that they're not interested in? Well, hang on a second. There's a specific reason why you want to make things that you are passionate about. And that's because you're already an expert in this niche. And why is that important? It's because you know this better than anybody, meaning you know the people that you're going to sell to better than anybody because it's you. So what motivates you? What do you like? What problems do you have? What problems can you solve? What are people in this niche going to like? Okay, so when you're coming up with new products, keep these 2 things in mind. 1, try to create a product that will help somebody remember something. There's an emotional attachment there, whether it's a good event in their life or a bad event in their life or something they want to memorialize. Those products sell really well. The second approach is to create something that is functional. People like things that hang on their walls, but they like things that they can use as well. So if you can create something that is aesthetically pleasing, but also has a function, aiming for one of these 2 will ensure that your product provides value to your customer, making them more willing to buy. The next step is to start documenting your work on social media. This can be done on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Just make sure that it is a business account. Create this account just for posting and documenting your work to create a portfolio to use in the future. I know a lot of people have anxiety when it comes to sharing the things that they create, let alone on the internet. So first of all, I want to acknowledge that that feeling is real and there are a lot of people that it affects. A little later on in the video, I'm going to share some tips to help to get over that anxiety and that fear of sharing. But let's continue on the path we were heading first. The next thing you're going to want to do is find people that are doing similar things to you. Whether that's people with more experience than you or less experience than you, the best is a mixture of all of them. And you can learn from each other. You can share mistakes, you can share in achievements, and you can learn from each other. It's a common misconception out there that we have to do this ourselves. Now, yes, you have to put the work in yourself and you have to make it happen yourself. But it's okay to learn from people. And it's okay to ask people questions and say, hey, what do you think about this? And the person that seeks a community like that versus the person that does it themselves, the person that seeks the community will always be ahead of the person that does it themselves. Trying to figure it out yourself, it's just slower. You can do it, but it's just slower. So some good places where you can find these groups. There's a lot of Facebook groups. There's a lot of groups on Instagram. One good way to find the groups is just to search for them. Search for CNC business or desktop CNC or hashtag CNC woodworking. And you'll start finding people that are doing similar things as you want to do or that you are doing. The next important thing to do is to ask for feedback. Now that you've got your product or project made, go to the people that are similar to you in those niches or have the same interest in you and ask them what they think of it and ask for honest feedback. You can also do this with family and friends, but just beware that they tend to sugarcoat things and not tell you the truth. All right, so now it's time to take that feedback that you've gotten and apply it to your product. Now, not all of it. Obviously, you can throw out the stuff that you don't want, but I'm sure that you've gotten some great ideas because it happens to me every time. I'll have an idea for something and I share it and I get so many ideas that I never thought of that really made my original idea that much better. So this is the time that you can really improve your product. All right, the next thing is to post, list, go sell the thing that you made. You have a finished product now and it's not time to stop. It's time to get it out there, which can be a scary step. What if it doesn't sell? What do I charge? I've got a lot of videos about all of those topics that you can find at the end of this video. But the important part here is to go where your people are. All right, so at the very beginning, you created something that you were interested in. So where would you go to buy this? Where do people like you go to buy these things? Go there first. Don't go to the masses. Don't just throw it up on Etsy and hope it sells. No, go in front of those people that you created it for, and you won't have to sell it all. If you created a product that has an emotional connection or helps them solve a problem on something they can use, the item will sell itself. Okay, so now let's look ahead a little bit. We've been making things and we've been documenting it and we've been building a portfolio. Now we can direct people to our social media and be like, hey, look at my portfolio. Look what I'm capable of. And what I found personally is that people come to me with their own ideas. So they see my Instagram and they're like, wow, you're capable of that. Well, then you must be capable of this idea that I have. And this is a game changer for your business because people start bringing you ideas. Customers start bringing you ideas and like, hey, can you do this? A little earlier, we talked about the anxiety of posting to social media. And this really comes back to anxiety of sharing and putting ourselves out there. And so I've got a couple tips to make it a little easier. This isn't going to solve all the problems, but I've got some tips that will make this process a little easier. All right, the first one is use Instagram. Instagram is known as the friendliest social media platform. Now, I'm not saying there aren't trolls on there, but it is a lot more reserved and a lot more chill than a lot of the other social media platforms. Whatever you do, avoid Reddit at all costs. Just don't post to Reddit. Take my word for it. Okay, the second tip I have is create a profile that no one knows about. Don't share it with anybody. Don't invite your friends to it. So just post for a little while and try to build up that confidence, trying to get your feet wet before you dive into the deep end. Don't use hashtags so people can't even search for your stuff. You can even go another level and you could make your account private. And so only people that you invite in will be able to see what you post. And it can feel not as overwhelming to just jump into the social media deep end. And the last tip I have for you is forget all of the analytics and pressure and likes. And there is real pressure with, oh, my photo only got 10 likes this time versus, oh, it got 100 likes. And then you start chasing that. And I'm guilty of that. That leads to nowhere good. Now, one thing I will say, the more secluded you make yourself, the less exposure you'll get, which is perfectly fine. But that will limit the number of opportunities that you have to share your work with people. And in order to grow a business, you need to be out there sharing what you do with people. And so keep that in mind. You don't have to do that right away, but working towards that is a key. If this is something that you want to do, but you still don't know where to start, just start making things and sharing them with people. Once you're a little further along, then you can start thinking and implementing some of the things that I've been talking about. But don't get overwhelmed at first. It starts with making things and sharing them with people. If you're interested in supporting this channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss upcoming content. If you're interested in learning more about my CNC business, check out this playlist right here. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Hey, if you're still here, thank you for sticking around. I've got a bonus tip for you. So something that I did at the beginning of my CNC business, and it was a priority of mine, is to invest money into things that made me money. Now, everything can make you money, and I get that. But if it didn't make me more efficient, or it didn't enable me to make something that I couldn't before, then I pushed it down the list. So I see all those shops out there and I want all the tools and wanted all the tools. But I started at the very beginning and then I prioritized my tool purchases that way.